want to ask now, what are some of the common legal disputes that arises from outdated wills, and how can they be more prevented?
There were common cause of disputes after the passing of the testator. Common one are not limited to, wait, let me see, maybe doubts, maybe doubt on the part of some of the beneficiaries, doubting whether truly the testator was one that made a will in its right senses, in it, doubting whether there's any influence from anybody for him to have decided to make his will the way he has made it. So doubt whether the testator was in his right frame of mind. See that, okay, for someone to be able to make a will validly, he ought to have been under, maybe let me say, be well tested to have a good memory, and then being in a very good mental state. So common one, like I said, is doubt. People doubt. Some people doubt that, no, the testator wouldn't have made such a will to have will be all this property to so person. He couldn't have been his right frame of mind. For instance, they could doubt that, okay, maybe there's some people somewhere from some other quarters who have influenced him or for her to have made the will the way he has made it. So that's the common one, actually.
All right, so now let's take a typical let's paint a typical scenario of some of the things that happens in our environments like Nigeria. For instance, Mr. John is lace, and Mr. John is very wealthy. Now he dies, having just female children, and then the younger brother comes to say, okay, your father does not have any male child, therefore, I should be the sole inheritance of his property. How does that apply to will or to law? Is it proper?
Like I said, the capacity of somebody who's making a will, it matters a lot. Legal capacity. The first thing will be that is their person an adult? 2, is he a reasonable person? He's not mentally derailed. He's in the right frame of mind at the time of making the will. Is there any influence? Do we have valid witnesses to the will? That's why all those factors are meant to be looked into before you can doubt the will.
Okay.
So, is it possible at the time the person made the will that, is it possible that it was one that made that will? Is there any doubt as to whether it was one or not? So those are the things. Once the law permits an adult to make a will and to distribute his belongings and property the way he wants, so without any discrimination. So it depends on the kind of law he wants to operate with. The law is called personal law, which is the way a cultural thing, So, but all in all, the Nigerian law does not discriminate as to how a citizen should make his will or her will. Once the person is having legal capacity to make his will, so he's free to make his will the way he wants to make his will and to distribute his property the way he wants. So the validity of such will be tested in court of law. He that asserts we prove it. Whoever proves that it's not valid, we have something to prove, perhaps. So that is what. But generally speaking, the law permits an adult who has legal capacity, who has sound mental faculty, to make his will the way he wants to make it.
Let me take you to the next question. What is the difference between a will and a trust in terms of asset management and distribution?
Well, I think I mentioned in before, a will must have necessarily have at least 2 people who will administer it as executors. So, but trust is more like putting the property in care of someone who is going to use a trustee, who is going to operate and act as if he's the owner of the property.
Okay.
So whereas if it is ordinarily will, you must have an executor. Executor can also double as trustee. So if it's a will upon which you are going to get grant of probate, then it shows that there was a distribution of property.
Okay.
So the only thing that the executor and trustee will do is to see to it that all those property are well distributed in the will and manner that the testator had indicated in his will to carry out his or her wishes. But when it is trust does not necessarily distribute to people, doesn't distribute. It's just the management aspect that the trustee, if it's under trust, if it's not, it's not a will per se. If it's trust, the creation of the trust is premise on choosing somebody or appointing somebody or some people to manage the estate of the disease as if it's the disease that's managing itself.
Hmm. Okay, so now I want to believe that there are some steps that one can take, to make sure that their will is legally sound and up to date. What are those steps that one needs to take?
Well, step to be taken, like I said earlier, if somebody had made a will before and they want to update it, there may be factors that can be considered for him to update it. One, has there been any other acquisition of more properties in the estate? Has there been a change in status? Well, for instance, some people can be married before they made a will, and then after that they divorce. The change, there must be a change, obviously. So marriage is one of the things that can change the content of a will or update a will and make it necessary to update a will. And also, if there's any doubt or maybe there's a strained relationship, sometimes it can happen that there's a strained relation between the testator, who is the owner of the will, and the beneficiary sometimes,
Okay.
and even executors. If there's a strain in their relationship, when everything has been going on well before, and all of a sudden things happen, and then you could not go along with one another anymore, they are necessarily the testator will want to change in. So, change in status, change in the status, generally speaking, then maybe there's any further appreciation or maybe disposition. You may have a property while you are making your will. We have seen cases whereby at the end of the day, before the person pass, he must have made to dispose the property. In his lifetime, he has disposed the property. He will necessarily need to make another way or update this the way because the status of the person as regard the property has changed. He's no more the owner of the property. So either acquisition or disposition of the property can make him to update on it. Can change the status as to marriage. It can also alter a will and make the testator to change the content of the will. Also, the relationship between the testator and executors or the beneficiaries. Those are the things that we can change or make the testator update.
Okay, so having said all this, now what are the risks involved if you don't maintain your will on a time? Like if you don't update it or you don't have a will, what are the risks involved?
Well, the good thing is that whether somebody make a will or not, after his passing or his passing, the estate will still need to be administered. If he doesn't have a will, then there will be a necessity to apply for letters of administration. Then there's a will, of course, there's a grant of probate to be applied for. However, the importance of the will is that everybody will have seen that this is the way and manner the testator wants his property to be dealt with. And one of the advantages is that it's not be tedious. It will not be tedious because it's a little bit tedious to do letters of administration than to do grants of probate. For instance, if there's a will upon which they are going to gain grants of probate, there won't be any need to do publication in doing the processing. Good deal. So the will is of shape to be let me say, a notice to everyone that this is the way and manner the deceased testator had made the provision for his property to be distributed. Those are one of the some of the advantages of making will, and also it will afford everybody let me say, it afford the deceased testator to have given the provision of how to manage his property. You'll be able to instruct the beneficiaries on how they should carry on after your departure. Okay. So those are the things that I believe are the advantages of making a will.
Can a will be tampered with after the disease is gone? Can it be contested?
There are different between tampered and contested. When you are saying tampered with, it means that they alter something.
Yes.
As far as the court is concerned, the court protects passionately the will of the deceased person. So it can never be tampered with, in our own custody. Cannot. However, that's why, even if somebody is going to be withdrawing his will, it's a very tedious procedure. You must necessarily see the person one-on-one before we can allow a counsel to withdraw that will. And that's one of the reasons, because we don't want a situation whereby it will be said that the court has compromised or has allowed some people to tamper with the will of a deceased person. That's that aspect of being tampering. But the aspect of contesting it, I told you earlier that there are some factors that must be considered before somebody will say, okay, he has the valid reason to contest it. So I cannot say it cannot be contested. In some people may feel different. They may feel strongly to contest a particular